Namaste and welcome to Satsang. So we started on Monday's Satsang with a kind of a three-part Satsang, and I wanted to take some time to look at basically the core of what we're learning here in Satsang, what we're coming to understand, and most importantly coming to experience. And the first part of that was what meditation really is, and perhaps more importantly what it isn't as well. And we looked at that on Monday. The first part of this is already up on the YouTube channel, so if you want to check that out, you can. Tonight I wanted to look at do some self-inquiry, to really look at what self-inquiry is, and again, perhaps more importantly as well, what it isn't. And then Monday, rather, we'll look at contemplation, because these three are really the same thing, approached from a different angle. And either one of them or all of them will hopefully be experienced by you in a different way, in a much simpler way. I know for the purpose of tonight, self-inquiry was something that eluded me. It was a very difficult process, and it just became a source of endless frustration. And I really wanted to try tonight to simplify that, and really to show you that it can be something extraordinarily beautiful, natural and simple when we perhaps look at it with fresh eyes and come at it from a open place. So I'd like you to, if whatever you know about self-inquiry, just to forget that for this evening, and just to, if you've done this with me before, just to forget that too, and just come from the place where you haven't experienced this before, where it's new to you. And whatever you've read about self-inquiry in the past or experienced in other teachings, maybe just, set all of that aside for the purpose of this evening, this satsang, just to see if we can experience something much more fundamental and simple in our experience. So self-inquiry is really the process of asking, inquiring, looking and seeing as to what we really are. What is the visible part of us, our body, our mind, our emotions, our our experiences, is really just the tip of an immense iceberg that is our real being, that is our real self. And self-inquiry can be a beautifully simple way to access that real self. And the clue really is in the title, self-inquiry, inquiry into what the self is. And it's not a thinking process. It's not analytical. It's a direct looking and seeing. So it's a very simple thing when we actually experience it. It's an asking of a question, and then opening up to all the different ways that, all the different answers that want to come to that. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how I began to experience my own self-inquiry, because hopefully that's a lot simpler than most of us have been trying to do it. It certainly was for me, and hopefully much more accessible. And then we'll actually do some self-inquiry together. So as human beings, we are trained, conditioned to ask a question and then to get a particular answer to that question. And when we ask the most important question of all, what really am I, or what is reality, what is real, both of which are going to take us to the same seeing. In our self-inquiry, we need to begin to let go of this idea that there is one final answer to that question, what really am I? One seeing, one epiphany, one aha moment, one understanding that's going to bring the whole thing to an end. Because there really isn't. There is only the question and the endless answers that can come to that question. So in our inquiry, we're not going to be looking for the right answer. And this goes against our experience in many cases. We're looking for some final finish line where we experience something, we have some knowing, some understanding comes, and we go, okay, that's it now. But if we stop at any particular seeing or a revelation with our inquiry, then we're going to be missing out on something absolutely beautiful. So we're not looking for the right answer at all. And, you know, our mind will say, well, what's the point in doing it then if we're not going to actually find out what we are? If we're not going to find a definitive answer. And that's really because truth is infinite. What's possible for us to experience in this moment is absolutely infinite. So even if we did have some final cataclysmic seeing that what we are is vast and infinite, in the very next moment it is able to be experienced even in an even greater way. So we're letting go in our inquiry of this definitive answer, and really the only answer we're going to come across is what we are right now in this moment. And that's going to be constantly changing on one level. And so if we go to our inquiry, letting go of the search for the right answer, we're also going to let go of the wrong answer, the idea that there's a wrong answer. What if there is just many answers that we can experience to that question? What really am I actually? And we're just going to begin to include all of the answers that want to come in our seeing. So we're going to include answers that perhaps we wouldn't even have classed as answers. You know, if we ask this question, what really am I? Then anything that happens in our experience is going to be some form of an answer to this question. We ask this question and just gently sit with it in our heart with an openness to see any and all answers. We're going to experience different types of answer to this question. We're going to experience thoughts, obviously. Our mind has many opinions about what we are, and also opinions about what we aren't, what we should be, all of that. And then we're going to also experience some emotions. Emotions are a kind of answer to this question as well. So if we ask this question, what really am I? And some fear arises in response to that question, or some peace, then it's really life saying, you are these thoughts in this moment. You are also these emotions in this moment. And we're going to also experience, actually experience these sensations, states, even deeper answers. We may experience some profound states. We may experience boredom in answer to that question, a sense of confusion, not understanding. All of this can be experienced and just allowed into our inquiry as a kind of answer. Any internal noise and any external noise too. If a car drives past and while I'm asking this question and I hear the noise of the car, that's the type of answer too. It's not going to be excluded from this inquiry. So we're opening up really to all the ways that, all the answers that are present in this moment to the question, the deepest question perhaps of all. And as we're staying open with this question, which we're going to experience in a moment directly, just the openness of the question itself is going to begin to change our experience, and letting go of this very human need to find the right answer. Although it may appear that awakened beings have found the right answer to this question, what really am I? Actually, what they are certain that they've found is that they don't really know. And even if they do know momentarily, I'm appearing as all of this, then that answer is going to change in the next moment. So there's a deep and profound experience of not really knowing and asking the question. Asking the question, what really am I, is going to really kind of undo the idea that we already know, what we're sure of about ourselves. I'm sure that I'm not awakened yet, or I'm sure that I am awakened yet, or I'm sure that I'm confused or lost or, suffering or whatever it is that's going on in our experience. So the question itself is more important than any particular answer. The question itself is going to allow you to experience a kind of openness, a kind of not knowing, a kind of actually wanting to look and see, a curiosity that's developing inside ourselves that perhaps we've closed off from as adults, but you can begin to experience it again. Self-inquiry then becomes this beautiful thing of just sitting with this question and allowing all the ways that life wants to answer. So nothing at all is excluded in our inquiry in the terms of what answers we're going to accept. If there was a noise outside where you're living, that's also an answer. If you have an emotion, a positive or a negative emotion, that's also an answer. If you were to experience an itch or a pain in your body, that's also a kind of answer to this question. And we're just not cutting ourselves off from any way that life wants to answer this question in this moment. We're going to be including everything that's possible to experience in our experience. Our experience of this moment is going to be the answer to that question. Our life is going to become very lived, experiential understanding of the answer. And we're going to begin to experience that the question itself is perhaps more important. The spirit of inquiry is more important than any answer that we could receive. So we're going to receive all these phenomenal answers. Just by that I mean just answers that are coming and going. So thoughts, emotions, states of peace may come and go, confusion, clarity, bliss, fear, boredom. All of this sounds outside our environment, internal noise, a sense of energy moving, opening, relaxation in the body itself. All of these are answers to this question. And if we just let go of this idea that there's a right or a wrong answer, and any particular answer is better than the others, that perhaps the phenomenal answer should go away, this is also something we can let go of. It's possible to experience the fullness of what we are even while there's thoughts and emotions present. We don't need to exclude anything at all. So just coming at our inquiry from this place of openness. So if you want to join in with me now, you're more than welcome to actually experience self-inquiry in its simplicity. You can keep your eyes open or closed, and whatever you feel most comfortable with. And hopefully you're going to see how it really kind of dovetails into the meditation that we did on Monday, just this openness to experience. So just asking this question, whichever one you prefer, what is reality? Or what am I really? What am I actually? And just sitting gently with this question, just a very soft, gentle intention to find out, what really am I? And of course, one of the first answers is our body is present. That's a kind of answer. And as we're sitting with this question, just allowing the question to reveal ever more answers. Again, we're not looking for any particular answer. So our mind may say, well, I am the self, or I am the ego, or I'm this, that, and the other, or I'm not the self yet. I'm not good enough. Your mind may say all these kind of things. And whatever arises in our mind, we're just going to say thank you for that answer. And we're not going to grab a hold of any answer in particular. We're not going to push anything away either. There's no right or wrong answer to this inquiry. What really am I actually? And maybe there is sounds going on. Maybe there is emotions arising. There might be a sense of something trying to figure it out how to do this. Again, that's just a kind of answer. It might be something looking for a goal or an endpoint. And we can just allow that to be another type of answer. What does it feel like in your body when you just embrace the question, what really am I? Or what is real? What is actually real? What is reality? If some fear comes up, that's just another kind of answer. We don't need to push it away. Every answer that we can experience to this question is just as valid, just as welcome. We're not going to say that bliss is better than fear, or that peace is better than disturbance. We're just open to experience in this moment all the ways that life wants to answer this question, all the ways that life wants to allow us to experience the fullness of what we are. So we're just allowing all these phenomenal answers to come. There might be some sensations in the body, some sense of opening. You might be aware of some tensions in the muscles somewhere. You might be itches or pain or shivering, or you may feel hot. All of that is just a different type of physical sensation as a type of answer. I'm just sitting with this question, what really am I actually? Just a curiosity. I really would like to see what I actually am. And making no effort at all to make that happen. Just the question itself is doing the work here for us in the inquiry. Just the wanting to see, a gentle, inquisitive curiosity. And just allowing whatever answer is coming for you right now. If there's a sense that, mind is saying, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay, thank you very much, mind. That's just another answer. It's not the wrong answer and it's not the right answer. If a sense of peace arises or a deep state, it's just another answer. And we're not going to grab a hold of anything and push anything away at all. And then at some point, as we're just allowing these phenomenal answers, there's going to be some recognition of something that isn't coming and going. Sometimes we experience it as just a blank, empty space where there's no more thoughts or emotions coming. Nothing seems to be happening. That's a kind of answer. Sometimes we might just feel a spaciousness, an emptiness, something that's just here, or a deep silence in which all these other phenomenal answers are arising. And again, when this presents itself at some point, this spaciousness, this not a thingness that we are also, we're not going to grab a hold of that either and say that's the right answer. It's just another answer that's arising in this moment. There is a sense of peace, a sense of spaciousness, a silence or a stillness. And there's also all the phenomenal answers to this question. What really am I actually? And if we just don't try to choose any particular answer, even this spaciousness that opens up, then we're going to find that this kind of non-phenomenal answer just becomes more evident, just kind of moves to the forefront. And maybe the phenomenal answers, thoughts and emotions are just kind of starting to quieten down on their own, that we're not trying to make anything happen. Again, just the openness of this question, what really am I actually? Maybe there's so much more to experience when we just keep including answers. We're not looking for the right answer and trying to eliminate anything from our experience right now. So I can hear the clock ticking. I can feel my body. I can hear these words. All of these are answers to this question. And there's a recognition of some spaciousness in which my body and the clock and all of this are appearing. So our inquiry becomes this kind of open-ended, ever-deepening experience of this moment of our self. All the ways that we are appearing, all the shapes and forms and names, and all the recognition of the formless spaciousness, the awareness that is in the background and moving to the foreground. That spaciousness, that beingness, may not feel amazing at first. It may just feel like just emptiness, like nothing is actually occurring there. It probably won't be all that exciting at first. We're just allowing that to be present as an answer to this question. In this way, self-inquiry can become something that we are just being rather than something that we're doing as a means to an end. Something that we are just experiencing and ongoing. And even when our body is moving around and we're interacting with other beings, the phenomenal answers will be changing. Other beings coming into our experience will be answers to this question. Other experiences, other physical locations will be answers. And it's a question, the openness that's really allowing us to dive deeper into the fullness of this moment. What really am I actually? And whatever answer we experience, no matter how beautiful that may be, we're just fostering this kind of inquiry, this sense of curiosity, and never concluding that we've found the right answer. In fact, enjoying how it feels to just not know what you actually are, to be experiencing it directly. All the ways that you can appear as all of this, and the empty spaciousness, the intelligent sentience itself, in which all this is appearing to be. We can never get to the end of this inquiry. We can only ever be experiencing a deepening of this inquiry. And very soon, you'll fall in love with how it feels to be living as this question, living as this question mark that I don't really know, and it's okay that I don't know, and it's okay to actually find out and experience, that we don't have to form some final conclusion. Right now, you are all the ways that you're appearing in your experience: human body, thoughts, emotions, furniture in the room itself, the place you're sitting in, these words, everyone else on this satsang, and the spaciousness, the formless awareness in which all of this is appearing. The shapes that you're taking will continue to change continuously, and the formlessness in which those are arising will continuously be present. Just recognizing how it feels in your body too when you're open with this question. What really am I actually? There is this phenomenal answers to this question, the coming and going answers. And then there is this moment in which the question is being asked and the phenomenal answers are arising. This moment is a non-phenomenal answer. It's a formlessness appearing. Neither one of those is better than the other. We're not saying even that the formlessness is the right answer or the better answer. We're just open to experience all of the answers to this question. And naturally, just the question itself, the spirit of curiosity and inquiry is just allowing us to explore the deeper aspects of this moment, of this experience of our real self. That maybe we've only ever suffered because we've been grabbing a hold of a couple of answers to this question, some thoughts or some emotions about ourselves. And there is so much more to explore when we don't stop at any particular answer, no matter how beautiful or ugly we experience it to be. What if there was no answer that you could reject about yourself? No way that you say, I should not appear this way, I should not be that emotion, I should not be those thoughts. And they were just another way that you are appearing in this moment, that life is answering this question of what you actually are. Just living with this question gently, wherever you go, taking it with you, exploring all the ways that you can appear as you move through your experience, your life. And just letting go of the need to find the right answer to this question. There's only the right answer right now, and then that answer will change in the next moment. Is there any need then for a finish line, or can your life be the experiential answer to this question? What really am I? What is real, actually? After a while of falling in love with the question, the openness of the question, how it feels in your mind, in your body, in your emotions, to be open, to not know what you are. You'll fall in love with this. You won't even want to know. And that's what the awakened beings, the great beings of the past have done. They've just fallen in love with not knowing and actually experiencing in this moment. And that also includes mind, it also includes emotions, also includes experiences. It's inclusive of every single way that you're showing up in this moment already. Self-inquiry then is just a very simple thing, asking this question and just noticing all the ways that we are receiving an answer to that question. Not closing off to any particular way at all. What is it like to experience the fullness of this moment? And then to eventually it becomes a habit to live from this question, from the openness, from the curiosity. That we can experience life in two ways. We can either experience our projections and assumptions about what is real, about what we are, or we can actually experience ourselves in this moment. All the ways that you're showing up phenomenally, and that formless spaciousness in which all of that is appearing. One is constantly changing answers, the other is always the same. And they really are the same one, viewed two different ways. Self-inquiry then is no longer something that we're trying to do to get to a final answer, but it can become an ongoing inquiry, an ever-deepening experience of reality, and never getting to the end, and never assuming or concluding that I know now what I am. Of course, you'll have those epiphanies, those revelations, those aha moments, deeper seeings. The very next moment, there is an even better answer waiting, even higher, even deeper experience of this moment. No matter how beautiful your experience becomes, you can always experience more. And it becomes a way of being rather than something we're doing. It becomes a looking and a seeing and an experiencing rather than a trying to figure out. And instead of trying to remove things from our experience and go straight to the formlessness, we can just include all the phenomenal answers, not rejecting any particular one. And naturally, in doing so, that openness will make the formlessness evident, the awareness, the beingness, the consciousness, the presence that you really are. I hope you've enjoyed this exploration into what self-inquiry can actually be. And maybe you are changing your mind about how beautiful a thing it can be. And really, there is no difference between meditation and self-inquiry. Self-inquiry becomes a kind of meditation on reality, on the reality of the self, of what I am. That whichever way, through meditation or self-inquiry or contemplation, as we'll do in the next satsang, it takes us to this same open space of consciousness, reality, and all the ways that that reality that you are appearing to be, all the things that you are appearing as, all the shapes that you're making. If you just fall in love with the question more than any particular answer, you're going to have a very different experience of life to most human beings. You're going to be experiencing life on a much more profound, intimate level than most human beings can. I'd really like you to make friends with self-inquiry again and to experience its beautiful simplicity. And I hope that you've experienced that with me today. Okay. Okay, so I'll open it up for questions. If anyone wants to share or ask a question, you can click on the participants section at the bottom of the screen and click at the bottom of that section. There is the option to raise your hand if you want to share something or ask a question. While we're waiting for those questions, just see, even with your eyes open, you can maintain this spirit of inquiry, this openness, and maybe even while you're asking a question or listening to an answer to the dialogue that comes after this. Okay, we'll start with Sergio.
Oh, hi, Helen.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good.
Okay, the question is if with self-inquiry we are open to everything, and that's what we are in that in every moment. How then all the unwanted beliefs, then I am that too.
Yes.
How can I work out to get away or dissolve those beliefs that I don't want?
That's a really good question. So if I'm open to all of these answers, you know, how am I going to move beyond these beliefs that are kind of limiting my experience? But if you can recognize that with the openness of the question, naturally, the formlessness that is our deepest experience of self is going to become more and more evident and appear faster every time we ask this question. Appear is not the right word because it's always here, but we're going to notice it. And if we take the stance of the formlessness, which isn't trying to reject anything, it's not even saying, look over here, I'm the formlessness, I'm better than the forms. You know, if we take that stance with our inquiry, that openness, then what begins to occur is the answers that we're getting phenomenally, so the thoughts and the emotions and the experiences are going to begin to change. They're going to become more pleasant by just by being open. And the thoughts, the quality of the thoughts, the frequency of the thoughts, the frequency of the emotions is going to get more and more positive, not by trying to change them, but by our openness. Naturally, the manifestation is always increasing, always becoming lighter, you know, always becoming more. So if we just allow whatever thoughts are coming to arise as answers to this question, then at some point we'll realize that those thoughts have disappeared. Our attention will, what's coming to the foreground of our attention is the answer that is the real self, the silence, the stillness. And as we take attention off, the reason these thoughts perpetuate these beliefs is because we've been accepting them as the only answer. If I ask, what really am I? And I get a sense of unworthiness or something like that, the feeling that I'm not good enough. Before we might have grabbed a hold of that and really felt that that was true and therefore keep experiencing it. But if we go, okay, that's just one answer to this question, and I don't have to stop and accept that that's the only thing that's possible in this moment, and asking then if there are any other answers as well, then we're going to kind of be drawn deeper into our experience. Can you get a sense of it?
Yes, that helps very much. Thank you.
Good. Very good question. Lovely. Okay, Marisol.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you. My question was that when I was doing the inquiry, I also was, or I felt led to do the what's happening now or what's arising now, kind of the same thing. And the deeper I started getting into it, I just felt a deepening, but also kind of like a detachment in the sense of a want, but then at the same time, a wanting to fall asleep, or also kind of like a no, like a very negative type of thing. Like it did not want that. Like, is that something that is, I don't quite understand, or I don't know, something that's normally.
It's very common. Something inside us has been holding on, hasn't it? Very sort of deeply holding on, trying to control our experience. And usually by the time we end up in satsang, you know, this also has been trying really hard to find the right answer. You know, and it's really certain there is a right answer. And so when we kind of experience this opening up and letting go, it's kind of the antithesis of what this energy, this egoic energy, is trying to do. You know, it's trying to get somewhere, to arrive at somewhere. And instead we're kind of experiencing that we're already able to find that right now in this moment. So something inside me, it was a very much kind of falling in love with this question, but there was also this very big knot in my stomach that said, no, you know, this is not good to open up like this. It's just not. Something felt very exposed, very vulnerable. You know, it just, there was this kind of little, well, actually quite big ball of tension somewhere inside, you know, that was very much saying no to the experience. Is that kind of what you experienced?
Yes, pretty much. There was a little bit of fear that was rising up as well. Kind of like, I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just that part of us that's trying to get somewhere, you know, that's trying to experience something, to arrive at a conclusion. And if we can just treat this kind of this tension and this no-ness as just another answer, it's just another way that this question is being answered in this moment. And we're just totally allowing it to be. If you look at the formlessness, the emptiness, whatever we want to call it, it doesn't reject anything at all. Even this no, you know, that's quite powerfully asserting itself. You can allow that to completely exist. And when it's just allowed to arise and we're not in opposition with it, we're just allowing it to arise fully, then it will begin to relax on its own. It will begin to open up on its own. The fear is this idea that our mind has that at some point the awareness, the formlessness is going to make this let go. You know, it's going to force it to let go. But when it's just allowed to arise and be there for as long as it wants to be there, it kind of starts to relax on its own when it realizes that somehow our mind has got this idea that the self is this big bully that's going to come in and smash it or something, and, you know, force it into 1,000 pieces. And it really is the opposite of that, isn't it? It just loves it completely. Okay, if you want to say no, you say no, and you can totally be that no in this moment. And the fear, whichever way it's arising, and it will dissolve then on its own time. But because we don't need it to go away to experience the peace. It's just another answer, and we can stay open. There's been this idea that we're going to have to get rid of this before we can experience peace, and it's just not true. You know, so it could just be allowed to be there. For me, it was there for quite some time. I don't know, maybe 6 to 12 months. You know, this ever deepening peace, love, and joy. And right in the center of my stomach was this fist going, no, you can't make me let go. You know, I don't want to. But it was just loved more and more and more, and eventually it just kind of ran out of steam and must have disintegrated at some point when I wasn't looking, you know. So I hope that helps. It's a very common experience, very common.
Thank you, it did very much. Thank you.
Good question, lovely. Okay, Gaina, we'll go to Gaina.
Hi, Helen. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hiya. How you doing?
Hello. I'm all right, thank you. Are you?
Yeah.
So, just a question. It's quite timely you kind of sat sang tonight, because I've been thinking even more about more realizations, really. Well, if you can have more realizations, but a deepening, I suppose, if that's the best way to describe it. A clearer seeing that, you know, there might have been certain areas where in my life where I thought that might have been right, even if it was more subtle. But I've kind of realised more and more recently that whatever answers come up, even if it might be like, this ego believes it's still just as valid an answer, or just as valid because it's here.
Yes.
It's reality. It's there. You know, it's self. So, but with that as well, I've been thinking about there's still been emotions coming up, probably not as strong as what they used to be, but you know, still sometimes coming up, and then mine thinks, so there's part of me that's kind of just been recognizing those when they come up, and if ego gets swept away, you know, involved for a little while, you know, then realize, you know, and question that it's not really true. But a part of me is also wondering when it's probably getting confused with itself, really. Is there when do you know not to question? Do you see what I mean? Or when do you kind of just think, oh well, you know, it's, you know, the emotion, I've got to a point now where I see the emotion come up and I think, okay, yeah, I've looked at that. But then a part of me thinks, oh, but do you really need to maybe question this a bit more?
Is it still troubling you? Is it still showing up? Is showing up in the emotional form? Is it showing up as something happening in your life still? Is it causing? Because the emotion can just arise as an answer in this, you know, in this moment. It's what we kind of do with that emotion, isn't it? Are we contracting around it and really getting involved with it, or are we just allowing it? Is it just another thing that's arising in this moment? You know, and if we're kind of fixating on it and feeling that contraction, then losing the sense of the openness, the questioning, then probably we need to inquire into that a little bit, you know, through contemplation or something that we'll do next Monday. But asking, you know, sort of looking at that in itself. Or it can just become a place where we recognize I have a tendency to close up. When this answer comes, something grabs a hold of it. When this emotion or that thought or this being arrives in my experience, I tend to contract. Yes, just to notice that's going on. We can then go back to the question, okay, that's just an answer. And are there any more answers? You know, what else is there to experience in this moment?
Right.
Where it's worth questioning again through contemplation is to really look happening when the emotion arises. Not the emotion per se, is it? It's what are we doing with it? Are we going into some relationship with it, saying it means, or, you know,
means something? Yeah. I don't know anymore, if I'm honest.
That's okay. That's great. Yeah. See if you can, you know, next time that emotion arises, can it just be another way that you're showing up in this moment? And then it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. It doesn't matter that it's got a different label in the mind to peace or something. It's just another way. The peace comes from not contracting around any particular answer, not saying this is the most important answer.
Right, yeah, okay. Yeah, right, I get that, yeah.
If you zoom in around this emotion, whatever it, let's say it's fear or something, then you will seem to lose the peace on all the other answers, because you're really only looking at this one going, this is the most important answer in this moment. And
can that be the same for like physical sensations and stuff?
Yeah. Those ones, you know, physical pain, all of that is something that our attention goes to, and perhaps we may have to practice opening up, staying open to the other answers as well, you know, in that area with physical things. And we all have our favorite, not favorite as in we like them the best, but favorite thoughts, emotions, and things going on in our life that we seem to contract around. It's the most important answer in that moment. We pick it up and go, this is relevant, you know, and that's just where our karma lays. So we're just kind of looking at, okay, do I have to automatically grab a hold of that one answer when it arises, or can I just learn to let it arise and give it no more meaning than any other answer in that moment?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good stuff. Good. Lovely. Ian?
Hello.
Hiya, how you doing?
I'm all right. Are you all right?
I am all right, thank you.
I was just out the three things when you, meditation, contemplation, and self-inquiry. When you started talking, I realised I do self-inquiry probably the least out of them three things. And And I was a little bit surprised when you first started talking and said, let's go into it kind of thing. There was quite a contraction, kind of like, kind of feeling. It kind of surprised me a little bit.
Something inside goes, oh my God, self-inquiry. No, can't do it.
I don't know why I have this kind of, because I only ever came across the term self-inquiry through you, really. So I haven't really got any baggage about it. And yet out of the three of them, it's the one that really kind of, seems to really stir things up a bit. And funnily enough, as we progressed, well, it didn't take that long, but it was like, oh, it's really just the same as meditation.
Yeah.
And it really started to kind of really sink in, and it's the same kind of, feeling the body was the same and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought, do you think I should just do a little bit more self-inquiry to kind of like knock it on the head kind of thing totally, and kind of, come to peace with it kind of thing?
Well, if you can see that they're both leading to the same place. In meditation, we start off really by noticing, in the meditation that we did on Monday, there's all kinds of different ways, obviously, but we start off by looking for what's in the background of our experience, what's constant, what's not changing. And whichever way we have to recognize that, whether you call it awareness, silence, stillness, peace. Self-inquiry is a kind of meditation then on everything that is present in your experience and that space in which experience is arising, the real self. So they're going to lead to the same place anyway. Some people find it easier to include everything we're experiencing in this moment, which then naturally leads to an awareness of the awareness in which it's all being seen. Yeah. Some people find it easier to kind of, okay, not this, not this, not this. Let me just look at the non-phenomenal aspect, the silence, the stillness, the peace. Mm. So it's only whether, which is a really long way to say I don't know the answer to this question. Only whether you're avoiding self-inquiry from a place of resistance, or whether it's just not your thing and you prefer meditation. Right. What I would say as a caveat is if you're not getting back to that silent space of awareness, to the noumenon, to the real self, either through meditation or inquiry, that's what needs to be really looked at. Yeah. How we arrive at that is really, we can get there through contemplation as well. There's no difference really.
Yeah. Oh, that's because I did actually feel very much like a meditation after about 5 or 10 minutes of you talking, and we kept with the question. I was getting a lot of like thoughts flying around and emotions coming up, but as I stayed with it, kind of worked through that, eventually it just felt like a meditation. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Good. It's really, what we're practicing really is not grabbing any particular answer, any phenomenal answer. Yeah. Because that by not doing that, we're not looking for the right or wrong answer. We're naturally taking the position of the formlessness, which isn't able to grab, or it's not doing this constantly, is it? It's just kind of like this.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just by different way in, but ending up at the same place, which hopefully you'll experience with the already have experience with the contemplation as well.
Yeah.
So I'd just say, just have a look inside and see if it's a little bit of resistance, or if it's just, I prefer meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it's a bit of both of those.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Thanks, Helen.
Okay. Great stuff. Okay. We will leave it there for this evening then. Thank you. Namaste.